Okay. Um, like I said, I have a purpose, and this purpose is to continuously address um, me being a target individual. I've understood the concept of what this is about, and just makes sense, and everything is aligned to show that this is what uh, I thought. Uh, so let me just introduce myself again. I'm a target individual. A target individual is a person that they use for research development of a technology. And this technology come from this intelligence community, the DARPA, the DoD. They are experimenting or developing technology that can do so much to you, right? Once you're in this program as a target individual, it's just the worst of the worst is being applied onto you, right? And they have these people they contract, and it's funny, somebody just called me a nothing. Those are the bottom feeders for these entities, right? And they try to dehumanize you while doing this implementation of this technology. And it's funny how these people are trying to disorient you, degrade you, and try to tell you nothing. But you see who's talking, and you understand the concept, and you understand who these people are, and is the irony of everything is when you see them, you truly see the nothingness that they are. So when they call you a nothing, at that point you're like, okay, I would rather be a nothing, because being a something to this trash is really not something you want to be. And I appreciate them in the sense that they look like what they're part of. When they involve themselves in that, there's no way you can look good. You see in the last video, this woman who was trying to play this femme fatale and try to make herself be like this like fierce woman, and she was, like, it's funny how they create this fantasy of reality. It's like reality is something they're trying to escape from because they're having to cope with what they're part of, and what they're part of is being in this program that torture for the purpose of developing a technology to get the results they need to get this data that they need to continuously improve this technology that is a weapon at this point. They use our brain, our body, the result of the pain and the suffering to improve a technology that is specifically at this point utilized for that. Now, obviously, you can do so much. What we do, I deal with V2K, right? Not all target individuals deal with that, but a lot of us do. V2K synthetic telepathy is when this then just kind of like rewire your brain, and you experience things that you never experienced naturally. Your thoughts are being manipulated, your perceptions, your memories, your reactions, all of that, just manipulations non-stop. Everything you experience is not happening naturally. There are perceptions, there are memories, there are things that are just like all manipulations of it, and then thoughts manipulation to make you kind of lose your mind. And those perps, which are the contracted civilians, I call them trash at this point, that trash people, are supposed to go with these manipulations and try to torment you, right? So they make you experience all kind of nastiness. For me, it's been very pedophilia centric. So you see little kids, little girls specifically, but little kids or kids of all ages, and then create some kind of stimulation sensations and try to make you accept these things, right? And then you will be like saying, "Oh my gosh, man, we caught you doing this." Like it's just that kind of like tactics of making you experience something that you will not experience naturally, and then try to make you feel guilty for it. So, we caught you. It's just really childlike, but it's done systematically to the point where your brain just kind of like it changes the way you start like identify. Not I don't want to identify. I know it's falsified, but it started like kind of messing with you. It's brainwashing tactics, and there's a lot of these things. It's a lot of manipulation of that nature, and they try to play with you in every way possible. But the nasty part is these people doing this thing to you. Do these things to women and children, right? So you see them for the involvement of what they're part of, and as a target individual, when you're dealt with this isolated, when you're isolated and you deal with these people, it's just disturbing because your brain just like they try to take you out of reality, when the reality is these people are doing these things to not only you but babies, and you know that. And they're not special people. I'm not saying they're not like monster looking like or the bottom feeders. Look at this trash. Look at this childlike shit. I'm sorry for the language, but look at this trash. And they tell me how I'm gonna be tortured and everything else, which I do believe. Listen, for me, I showed the psyop. I've talked about a psyop of people who wanted to create this fantasy. They like to create a false reality around you, so you think that's everything by this large government involved in participating in this program, running this program. So they create all this like fantasy of a reality to block out the reality of what you're part of. You are a subject, a human subject, and we're utilizing you, your being, for the progression of this technology. And these manipulations are used to get the result they want. But they try to create a circle or ecosystem of just falsified reality. To think that, oh, this is not like the government doing this. It's just like, oh, this group of strong feminine. Like, it's just BS storylines. Once you understand that, it's kind of comical. And it's funny, every time I kind of laugh about these comical narratives and reality they put together. And I laugh about it because it's just so, like, comical. It's just a joke. To think that I'll ever subscribe to that BS, immediately, because they want you to accept this BS, they start talking, oh, we're going to frame you, and they're going to laugh when they torture you. Or laugh. They'll laugh. Like children. Well, not like children. Like people who like, oh, my, don't laugh about this. Don't laugh about this gaslighting tactics. How dare you? They're going to laugh when they torture you. Like, yeah, they'll laugh. But I'm laughing about you thinking that I'm going to subscribe to these BS storylines. They come up with these disturbing manipulations and not even manipulation, like storylines and psyops. It's comical. And they are very, very coward-like. Oh my gosh. But, that's why this technology is this sophisticated. Things are done remotely. They tell me how this person is so big, he's going to kill you, he's going to rape you. It's like, listen, you can do all of these things from the apartment next door, the building over there. You can rape me, torture me, everything you can do to me remotely. So when you tell me an actual person is going to do that, I'm not, like you could do that to him. And you like this. You understand? Like, it's just like, I understand the reality of what I mean. And they want you to go into this fantasy of what they've put together. They are here raping women the same way they can rape me anytime with nobody around. Children being sexually tortured, they can do all that remotely. So when they come up with this way of trying to make me think about it, it's like, no, I know what you guys can do to women and what you've done to women and what you're doing to women and children. I listen to their testimony every time that you guys want me to forget about reality. So when I see you truly for what you are. But they are cowards, because that's don't need to be brave in this. This contracted trash literally don't need any, what bravery need. This is not a war. The only war they're in is a war where reality, they are war with the reality of what they're in. They are trying to block out reality. That's what war is to them. The war is not against me. The war is against fooling themselves into this to maintain the psyop. So that's what they like to say. And I'm not the first target individual who says that the target, the perps, when they interact via the V2K to the target individual, there's this woman who literally said, they like to say, oh, we are at war, right? And it's a way to try to cope with reality. They're not at war. They are trying to tell themselves the reason why we're torturing you and doing all this whole thing, nasty things, is because this is a war. Like a war, we can do all this horrible thing. We can torture women, we can torture children. It's war. But the reality is like a coping tactic. They said that to a woman who's like single woman by herself, and torturing her is like, we are at war. What? Of course there's no war. Maybe they are at war with breaking you down, but it's not even war. It's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do. A civilian can do nothing against a military-grade weaponry, plus the level of funding. We are human subjects. We are guinea pigs. You if you're in the lab or whatever and you work on guinea pigs, You don't say, oh, I'm at war with this guinea pig. Yeah, you can trick yourself like that to be like, oh my God, guinea pig, I'm going to not to like, but that's just them trying to create this BS. We are human subjects, and these bottom feeders are the trash contracted to do these things. There's many people like them. It doesn't take much. There's children literally doing this thing to me. And trust me, they can't even feed themselves, but they can do these things. So maybe the war for them is just coping with this false reality, but it's far from war. I'm truly am just a human subject, and I understand that. Just like Catherine Nestor, Lisa Baker, like just some housewife and some single mothers, and that's what they are. And they're gonna completely they're gonna develop this technology continuously. And then once I'm gone, there'll be another person, and there's many already happening. But they'll be working on another person. It could be a man, it could be a woman, even a woman with children, or a man with their children, and they're gonna do their things. And they'll torture them, and they'll be like, we are war. In the comfort of their home, wearing the PJs and whatnot. So I understand that. But the cowardness that you see is something that it's just magical. Because via V2K, the way they interact with me, you would think that these people are some of the bravest, strongest, fiercest people. And then you see them in person, you're like, oh my goodness. But like I said, this is the technology that is meant for that. It's meant to do things in the most simplest ways to somebody. A lot of what has happened to me is automated. It's machine learning. It's automated. It takes very little. It's simplistic. For a human being, it's not simplistic in regard to the technology. The technology is extremely sophisticated. It does almost everything. It can do everything. But when you see and hear them try to come up with this fantasy of what they want to portray themselves, and you see them in real person, you're like, it's incredibly just wow. But like, you have to stoop to this level. You see the level of cowardness you are. You don't even want to look at me, because I'm going to see you for what you're involved in. I remember going to the elevator, and I made a video about it. I went to an elevator, and there's two perps they contract. They live here. There's nobody. They just trash the government contract. You see, I know them. I know that they are. I don't know them, but I know that they are of those bottom fears the government contract. So I'm like, I try to I get to the elevator, but they don't want to go in the same elevator with me, right? Because they want to maintain that mystique, which they don't have. They just look like dongorons, just like childlike individuals who feel empowered to be involved. You can see it's like they have a chip on the shoulder, wanting to feel special. You look at them, it's like you. And I was listening to a testimonial of a woman, Lisa Baker, talking about how she's being tortured every day for the last 10 years, right? Getting burned and all that. And she said how she begged for the government to do something about it, even though she knew the government is involved. And they were trying to mock her, right? Coming and trying to counter that. That's the war. Counter reality is their war. They try to block the fact that this woman who's saying she's being tortured every day, and she's begging for somebody to do something about it. They're trying to counter that, because the psyop is that these people are protecting and avenging women. You understand the bullshit that they try to come up with? So I'm like, okay, yes. They come in and try to interrupt me listening to that by saying, oh, begging. I'm like, okay. I wait for the elevator. They time it right before an elevator opens up. But I'm like, hey, guys, come in here. One of the kind of goofy one could try to walk into the elevator, and she looks down and she's going through the repetition. Oh, I'm sorry. Just go through her BS story. Try to think that I'm going to subscribe to this BS things, and I'm looking at her truly for what she is, because I'm saying that they try to make the try to rewind me, and I was like, oh, you were how you were, because they do the pedophilia type of torture, and then they say, no, we mapped it to you when you were a kid. This is stupid. They do the pedophilia type of torture systematically too, and she's just looking down, thinking that I'm going to subscribe. It's like, do you not see? I see you for what you truly are, a trash. But there's another one over there. She wants to sound fierce, huh? She didn't even try to come in. She, matter of fact, she called the other one, hey, go come in, going this way. She doesn't even try to come. She knows. So, remotely, they were doing all these horrible things to me, but you see them in person. Not that I'm gonna attack them or do anything to them. It's just like, look at this weak. I'll just see them truly for the weak, low life that they are, and they don't like that. This goofball there, she just think that I'm gonna go into they're like, because they do this personas where they try to make you subscribe to this false persona, and they think that you subscribe. It's like, no, the thing is, when I'm isolated in these retardations, you can make me think in this retarded way. When I see you try to go into this, you know I'm not subscribing. And so the other one notes that. And you can see she doesn't want to come in the elevator because she's like, oh my gosh, the mistake is not, it's not going to work. He's going to look at me. He's going to look at me for the bottom feeder that I am. So she calls the other one out. She runs away. She's like, oh, sorry. And she leaves. The elevator is not full. There's maybe 3 other people. And so I was like, you see the cowardness? You can't even enter the elevator with me. And to counter that, because they call it being at war, they try to continuously put you in a loop of retardations, of stupidity. I call it retardation because it's just a stupidity nonstop. They bring me back to New Year's Eve 2022. It's like 11:30, right? I'm about to go through the trash. I go into the elevator. There's 2 people in the elevator, right? And there's this thing they were trying to create a battle in my brain. And I remember this female there and a male there. I go into it like as it goes down, and I look at them, and the females all of a sudden just kind of looks up and just kind of look. And I look at the guy, and I just go in. When I look at the female, I can feel a sensation that they like to make me experience, like a false sensation stimulation. But I give her like a 22-year-old, right? That's my estimate, my age estimate. I talked about it before, and they give me this weird sensation stimulation. It's like, okay, I know it's the false things they make me have, and I look at the guy there, whatever, and all along they're trying like, oh, how old is she? Oh, I'll read her. Is she 22? And it becomes like, oh, are you guessing the right age? Because I know the false sensation they make me have at this point. I can tell, even if there's like a woman my age, I get the false sensation. I'll be like, oh, that's the fake stuff they do, and then they make me experience it. And they're like, you see, how old is she? Oh no, she's not. Oh, you see, they got you. You thought she was that age. Like, it's just, yeah. And they want you to start having these battles as if this is normal. And so they try to bring up, oh, remember that elevator? Because I said the word elevator. I was like, these people, they want to go to the elevator because they didn't want to be seen. And on top of that, I had like my camera. So not only, now I have like my little like body camera. And when they try to mess with me, first of all, I'll make videos about these people. So to try to counter that, to show the cowardness of these human beings calling themselves gods, they try, oh, but remember the elevator, remember that person, we got you there, you didn't know, there's stories. So my point is, as a target individual, I will tell the stories of what's happening to me. And I know for somebody not understanding the world we're in as target individual is insanity, because we are surrounded with this ecosystem of people who are trying to push you to insanity, but at the same time there is technology that is being implemented onto us that is amazingly sophisticated. It's crazy to understand that. If I was not a target individual, I don't know if I could like believe it. I've never been that kind of person who believed in it or even wanted to kind of know about these things, to be honest. Like, as long as, yeah, whatever. I don't want to, but I'm in this program that way. And so when I try to tell the stories of what's happening to me, I'm trying to the best to explain in a way that somebody like me, who's not a target individual, will try to understand. And it's going to be hard because I myself, like, as a target individual, sometimes I don't comprehend the level of sophistication of this technology. It's just extremely sophisticated that even when, it's been since 2019, 4 years now. And sometimes I'm just like realizing this technology is just that sophisticated. It's just the level of sophistication is just is science fiction. But once you understand that, how do we improve technology? We continuously test it on people or on things. Or but in this case, it's the brain of a human that they want to continuously be able to manipulate. So who are they going to use as subjects? They can't use monkeys. They can't use guinea pigs. They need human brains, human bodies, because this is what the technology is supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be manipulative toward human beings. And so they would test this technology on human beings and will invest a lot of money to create that ecosystem and to cover up and do all of that. It's supposed to be the amount of financial aspect that they spend on target individual is crazy. They spend so much money to break them down, to make them poor, to make me like. But you understand why they would do that. You know the amount of people they employ and they contract, and who knows the amount of money these government entities are spending on these people. I'm sure it's not cheap. I'm sure, like, a lot of them, it's not, I'm sure they're making more money than I've made, in my lifetime. At least, as most of them, I don't know, but I know the funding is available for them to make plenty of money. But there's a lot of people around you involved in this. So you understand that this kind of funding comes from these governmental entities, and the results is worthy for them. The result is because this technology is to a level of sophistication that it's worth to spend this millions and millions of dollars on just one person. Because the result of that is just full control of a human being. And just not one, multiple, but they spend a lot on one at a time, completely control, manipulate one person to the nth degree. And manipulate them in foulest ways. Because onto us, they're using it for a weapon system. They use our brain, our body, our organs, everything in a negative way. And they surround you by people whose job is to maintain that ecosystem so that person, this technology, can be fully maximized. And so I understand that. I don't go yes, sometimes I go into their little fantasy of we are war. I just no, I understand. This is not war. I understand. I'm a human guinea pig. I'm a human subject. Your war is to try to make me subscribe to this psyop. Maybe that's it. But it's not like me, wow, you got beat this. You put in the program, that's it. Your life is over, basically. You can prolong it, but your life is never going to be the same. It's just like you're just a human subject for the rest of your life. You're just a guinea pig. They're going to do things to, they're going to manipulate, they're going to observe, they're going to do for the rest of your life. And this purpose, however they try to cope with this reality, they're going to say, oh, we are war, this is war. War with what? You do that to a woman. Or just a single woman. What kind of, I'm here in my apartment by myself, and this military-grade weaponry being implemented onto me. This is thousands of people working on me. Maybe not thousands, but there's a lot. It's just this unlimitless funding being applied onto just my targeting. I know the reality is what it is. They've been using this false reality to cope with what they're involved in. Because when you tell yourself we are war, that means you can do anything. Oh, it's war, so all is fair in war, right? We can do this, we can torture children, we can torture women, we can do this pedophilia type of torture. When the reality is, you're not at war, but what you are a part of is improving military-grade weaponry using human subjects, which you treat as guinea pigs. And we're guinea pigs to this technology. And we talk about children being guinea pigs too, and women being guinea pigs. The most vulnerable, torturing them, including sexual torture. And a lot of those people doing this thing to me, I've done that to women and children, and I will be doing that to women and children. That's reality. This nasty manipulation, psyops, whatever, is part of the breaking down of the guinea pig. So to all my target individual, I don't want to degrade us, but this is how they see us. The psyop that you're gonna experience, there's this BS stories that you like, if it's a cult, if it's just a way to kind of take away reality. See them for what they are, and see them for what they're using you for. Once you start saying that like that, you understand it. That is what they do. So to all my target individuals, stay strong and know that justice will be done. I know my time will end just like many target individuals. When we record, I've noticed that there's a pattern of a trend that people want to record their story before the day comes, right? Unfortunately, I don't want to demoralize any target individual. Stay strong, fight till the end, prolong it. Maybe you may be one of the few who survive this, meaning that you get out of this program. But I understand the reality of things, and so for me, it's about recording and addressing and talk about my targeting, just like many men and women have done it before, because it helped me a lot to go through this program, to see them truly for what they are. So to all my target individuals, stay strong.